Work. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Incon here to talk about the state of Conquest moving forward, guys. Going to be going over this, is talking about some of their intentions for Season 7. Talking about High-Res's, some of the changes that they're making for Conquest. And we're going to talk about why they're good, bad, etc. I've read through this. While these are not all of the changes upcoming for the season, there's some of the bigger ideas behind them. And honestly, a lot of these changes I like. Overall, positive reaction to these notes. In general, the one thing I will say is there is not a new Season 7 Conquest map, which is my one big negative about Season 7. Every 2 years in Smite, historically, we have gotten an entirely new map. They will not be giving us an entirely new map this season. Joust will be getting a new map for Season 7, but there's not a complete map revamp. There are some map changes, which is good, but there is not a completely new from scratch map made up for this season, which is my only thing. I liked the new map every 2 seasons, but I don't know. Maybe it'll help new players that maybe don't have enough time to play Conquest kind of get into it. I feel like 2 years is plenty of time, but I play the game for 1 billion hours a day, so what do I know? So let's get into it. Right off the bat, they do a little talk here about just Conquest. If you want to read it, you can pause it, throw it on down. It's just basically like a little talk about the issues that they've experienced with Conquest this year, talking about how they like the flexibility of being able to play different gods in different roles, but problems have arisen, like the duo lane isn't really the duo lane anymore, so they want to fix that. Level 1 invades aren't fun. They snowball the game. They make the field game a little bit more RNG than skill-based. And so they want to kind of fix those problems. Then they go into just some stats about Conquest. So Conquest is the 3rd most played mode by unique players in Smite. Everybody's known that it's not the most popular. But what I thought was kind of interesting is that Joust is the number 1 most played by unique players, followed by Arena, and then Conquest. Conquest has the most game played by in-game playtime, but that also makes sense because it's the longest game mode by far, so that's not really that crazy of a statistic. So basically, Conquest is 3rd most popular, Joust, then Arena, then Conquest. Basically where Conquest has always been. So nothing crazy there. Normal stats that we've kind of always known to be true. Then they go back right here, just talking about some of the changes that they made for Season 6 Conquest and the reactions they were hoping they would have, like making the solo lane less boring with the totem, adding more variety to the Conquest map with the Primal Fury and the Oni Fury. It looks like these changes are staying, like they liked them here in Season 6, and so those changes will be staying, moving forward into Season 7, and they want to just keep adding some additional stuff. So that basically front bit is just all of them talking about, why Conquest is where it is, how they want to change moving forward, things that they did that they've liked, that they want to stay, all kind of like in the past and stat stuff. So if you want to read that, you can pause it and go for it. Now, into the stuff that we're actually going to be talking about, which is the actual factual Conquest Season 7 changes. So they address the actual problems specifically that they want to resolve, that being the invade meta. Like I said, invade meta leads to a really, really quick overall matches, people F6ing at 10, people feeling like they never got to play the game, overall feeling like bad man. The jungle in mid-roll feeling less impactful than other role. I thought this was kind of a crazy thing. This is one of the things I disagree with. I think jungle and mid have a ton of impact on the game right now. I would say duo lane has almost no impact on the game from my experience in casuals and ranked. So I thought that was an interesting take, that jungle and mid don't feel important. I feel like all of the top like ranked players are like mid and jungle players. So I'm not 100% sure where they're getting that from. I don't entirely agree with that. Dual lane not at all resembling the support ADC dual lane. That is true. This has been a problem all year long. Whether it was like start of the season, you know, Jeff Hindla trying to run a Nemesis Assassin's Blessing, you know, double jungle type dealio for sport because there wasn't enough XP, to nowadays, you know, people rocking the Assassin Warriors and trying to just invade at level 1, and there's never even a dual lane because why take any farm from your ADC? So they want to try to resolve that, which is great because the dual lane, in my opinion, has had its worst season. Obviously, you might have really liked the dual lane this season. It is definitely very different than it has been in the past, but as a traditionally support player for many years of Smite, duo lane was not my cup of tea this season. It was my least favorite, so they want to try to bring that back a little bit, which I think is exciting. And solo lane. Solo lane, you might not have heard, is boring. It's really boring. Solo laners have been talking about it all season. You really can't ever kill the other solo laner unless somebody makes a tragic mistake. Unless you either get a gank or somebody makes a horrible mistake or is horribly outskilled. You almost cannot physically get a 1v1 kill in the solo lane because of health pot, chalice stack, gladiator shield, berserker shield, whatever. You just can't 1v1. So they're going to be making some changes to try to bring back more skill aspect into the solo lane. So you can think like Cyclone Season 3, like always taking on his lane opponent and rocking people. They want to try to bring a little bit of that aspect back. So there's that super high skill ceiling of being able to one in if you go aggressive and all in. So those are all the problems that they're trying to address. So now we're going to get into the actual factual Season 7 changes that they are making to address these specific problems. Like I said, there's going to be a bunch more changes. This is not like the patch notes. The patch notes for Season 7 are going to be January 8th. This is more like a preview of some of the higher level stuff that's going to affect the overall game. Not like in-game balancing. You know, there's not going to be any god changes, item changes here. All of that will be in your Season 7 patch notes on January 8th. So let's get into it. Hand of the Gods is coming back. I stand correct. I kind of stand corrected. I said Hand of the Gods would never come back as an active, which is true. It is not coming back as an active. It is coming back as a consumable. The jungle relic, for those that don't know what Hog does, it does damage to creeps. It is coming back as a consumable. I actually really like how they've done this, so I'm going to read through it for you guys. The goal of the item is to give all roles extra protection against invades. With this item, they can opt to have safer or quicker early jungle clear instead of additional potions. This consumable deals damage to all jungle monsters in a small area around you. You can only carry one stack of this consumable at a time. The most important part of this, the damage effect does not damage enemy camps or jungle bosses, but is increased by Assassin's Blessing. The damage dealt is a flat amount that does not scale. So this, right off the bat, is an immediate response to the invade meta. You want to invade? Well, I've got a Hand of the Gods, which means I can always secure my buff, and you can't, because even if you have Hand of the Gods, your Hand of the Gods doesn't work on my buff. Now, the one thing about this, on the whole, I think this is great. It's super going to help people not get invaded. It helps you secure your buffs. It's 100 gold. You only can carry one. Great. You can't use it on the enemy camps. I love all of this. Very good. The one concern that I have not even a concern. The one like meta thing that I see here is how many times are you going to have to buy Hand of the Gods? For those that didn't play back when Hand of the Gods exists, this is a very different version, but the idea is still the same. Clearing faster in Smite is really freaking strong. It's just good. Clearing a camp faster, or not being able to use an ability onto a camp because you clear it this way so you can save your ability for the next camp, so you clear that camp faster, so you get level 2 faster, so you get to the mid lane faster, so you can clear that faster, so you can invade. Clearing faster is always kind of a dangerous game because of the nature of getting higher level faster and then being able to quickly go in and fight people. So I'm always a little bit concerned about something that helps you immediately clear your jungle faster, to immediately get to ganking, to immediately get to invading, to immediately get to snowballing. But if everybody has access to this, in theory, everybody can clear equally fast, which means that the only thing is that you'll probably have to buy this as a consumable, at least for level 1, which is fine because, I mean, everybody and their mom buys a health potion right now and you don't hear any complaints. So it doesn't entirely bother me, but I can very quickly see this item becoming a mandatory level 1 buy. And then it's like, do you buy it when you back the first time so you have it one more time? Do you never buy it again? We'll see. But I pretty much see this becoming an absolutely mandatory level 1 active just from I cleared my buff faster so I can get to the next buff to clear faster perspective to start that snowball in the jungle clear. Boy golly. New starter relic, Vision Shard. This could be the best change in Smite's history. And I'm not being ironic. Let me read it to you. Each player's inactive relic slot, the one that cannot be upgraded until level 12, will now have a shard in that place. Activating this places a weak ward in the target location on a 120-second cooldown. The problem that they're targeting is invade meta. The goal of this item is to give more player control over their early game experience. With this item, players are less likely to fall victim to risky or aggressive ganks in the early game. It also might help familiarize more players with the joys of warding, as it will be applied to all game modes. The first relic slot is not affected by this. It can be upgraded to a normal relic for free at level 12. The shard ward looks different and does not change with ward skins, has a smaller radius, lower duration, and provides no gold when killed. So everybody in Smite will start with the capability of putting down a ward, which is amazing. This ward won't last for super long. It doesn't say exactly how long it's going to last here, and it's a 120-second cooldown. But everybody will at least have the ability to put down a little bit of vision in the early game to strategically cover their map to make sure that you don't get level 1 invaded. This is such an easy, straightforward solution to stopping invading because you'll know that it's coming. This is 100% based off of League of Legends' kind of free warding relic system, which is totally fine. And I genuinely love this change. Great overall change to just stopping early nonsense. Presumably these wards will last for a very short time, something like 30 seconds. That means you put them up right before your things are going to spawn. You defend yourself, bada bing, bada boom. And it's not like you have a ward up all the time for free, but it just gives you that little early game push. And it helps new players that maybe don't know the power of wards learn the power of wards and how strong they are, which is amazing. Very happy with that change. This one, I'm going to read to you guys. I don't have an opinion on because I don't really understand it. I don't think we have enough information. New objective, the Jungle Shrine. The Jungle Shrine is a new early game objective located in the area in between Yellow Buff and Back Harpies. So think where your speed buff is right now and those back RBs located in between. The goal of this feature is to add more team-wide impact to the jungle role in the early game. Junglers can't be in every lane at the same time, but now their allies will feel their impact through gifts of gold. We hope this has similar levels of success that the Totem of Ku had, the Totem of Ku being the totem over the solo lane. This objective's gold reward grows each time your team clears a jungle camp. So it essentially has a variable respawn timer and variable reward amount. So without knowing how often this respawns, without knowing exactly how the gold works, it's kind of difficult to theorize on how effective this is going to be. It becomes a question, too, of is this only hittable by your team? Probably not. I would imagine you could steal the enemy's jungle shrine. How much gold is it giving to your team? Does this become super important? Like, if you steal this from the enemy team, is this 100 gold to everybody on your team? Depending on like how much it is stacked up. Is this something that the jungler really needs to focus on instead of ganking? Can like the mid laner, if he has no wave to do, just go do this really quick to help out the jungler? Or is it like really hard to kill unless you have Assassin's Blessing? We just don't know enough about this for me to really have a strong opinion one way or the other. So for me on the jungle shrine, it is to be seen how it works with more information. I just don't think we have enough information to make a informed opinion about how it's going to be. The idea, I don't really understand. Once again, the problem of jungler impact. I really think junglers have an incredible impact on the game right now. Lots of top-ranked players are junglers. So I disagree with the idea that the jungler doesn't have enough impact right now, but also everybody being given more wards, harder to gank. You'll see a map change later on that'll make it harder to gank for junglers. I can see in Season 7 maybe the junglers needing something a little bit more than just always looking for ganks. So we'll see how it works out. Need more information on the jungle shrine. Okay, so now yellow buff spawns earlier. Yellow buff being the speed buff, ladies and gentlemen. This is my probably favorite change in this in the upcoming Season 7 information that we've gotten. I've been asking for this change the entirety of Season 6. This is all that I've asked for. I talk about it all the time, which is that Conquest has an unneededly hard level 1, particularly for the mid laner. It is unnecessarily difficult. Right now, for those that don't play Conquest, you might not know, the mid laner has to help with the speed buff exactly the right amount so the jungler can clear the speed buff in time to make it to the mid lane so you don't miss a single creep. Because if you miss one creep, you don't hit level 2, and then you get snowballed on right out the gate. Right out the first wave of the game. So, in order to solve this problem, they're making the speed buff spawn 3 seconds earlier, which gives you an extra 3 seconds of time to clear the speed buff and get to your mid lane so you don't miss out on that one creep and have the game completely ruined. Also, on top of this, it'll also make different mid-jungle combinations more viable. Right now, you basically have to have good clear from your mid-jungler right at that level 1 so you can clear that speed buff fast enough to get to the mid lane to get that one minion. This might open up a little bit more variety in the type of mid laners that can be more meta because you have an extra 3 seconds to clear the wave to get your XP, or to clear the speed buff to get your XP, and then make it to the mid lane. I'm very excited for this change, both as a high-end level variety of picks, and even more importantly, a low-end level friendliness to joining the game. It's been for the longest time the most unnecessarily unfriendly introduction to Conquest, so I'm extremely happy that they're making this change. Beautiful. Love it. Now, for a very interesting change. You're looking at the notable change to the Season 7 mid lane for the map. So as you can see, the right side Harpies, my mouse doesn't show up, but the right side Harpy on my screen, so the one right by me, this guy, stays exactly the same. This is the Harpy over by the Fire Giant. Fire Giant would be that way. Okay, so this stays all the same. Your jungler rotates in from his speed. The blue buff, bada bing, bada boom. He comes over here. This is normal. On the other side, though, they are crossing off the map and splitting it. So that entire side is a solid wall. So where on this side, right, you can just doodle-a-doodle-a-doodle-a-doodle-a-doo, walk on through. And on this side, doodle-a-doodle-a-doo, you can just walk on through. You will not be able to do that in the mid lane on the Gold Fury side. So you will have to either have a jump to get over that wall, or basically you got to walk all the way around the Gold Fury Oracle's dealio. The intention of this is to give the mid laners more guaranteed farm. That's their intention behind this. So that even if you lose this side all the time, you still have like your one safe Harpy in order to get that XP for the mid lane. I want to say right off the bat, once again, I've talked about it. I don't think mid lane jungle are having a problem. I feel very confident with my farm every game in mid, and my junglers always are high level. I don't know where this is coming from. It's the one big thing I disagree with. I think mid and junglers have been doing fine. So let's go do a little reading about it. Mid Harpies on the Gold Fury side have a very different jungle path that favors the home team mid laner. There's that additional mid Fury camp, so each mid laner has their own. Problem being targeted, mid impact. Once again, I don't think that's an issue. The goal of the feature is to increase the amount of farm the mid laner has access to and make the lane slightly safer. Players are losing a path from Order to Chaos side, which will make certain rotations more difficult. The mid Harpy camp on Fire Giant side is not changing and will still be a contested neutral objective. So, couple cool things about this. Couple cool things. One, it is a map change in a season that we're not getting a new map. So that's cool. I like map changes for better or worse. Different is at least different for a guy that plays the game every flipping day. I like variety. So right off the bat, I like that. Secondarily, you can see how this would have an impact on making the mid lane get ganked less. Think about how often right now the mid lane is getting ganked by the support player. With this happening, it means that with your ward, you're going to have a much safer time not getting ganked by the support, which means that the jungler ganking you from this side is going to be much more common. You can focus on warding this side, because the other way, you only need that nice one ward really to keep you safe on your side unless they want to jump over the wall or blink over the wall. That's cool. Help the mid lane stop being, how many times have you guys played and there's 3 or 4 people in the mid lane at like the 1 minute marker, right? The one problem I see with this, the one major problem, is this very, very much incentivizes something that I feel like has already been highly incentivized in Season 6 for mid lane and the jungle, which is the ability to jump. The ability to have a leap. Whether you're a Scylla or a Hunbats or a Thor or whatever, the ability to have some sort of teleport leap over a wall is extraordinarily important right now for the mid jungle. This is just going to make it even more important to have a jump. Characters like Agni, I think, are going to struggle even more with this because they don't have any chance to get over that barrier. And so it will be interesting to see if there is any balancing done to characters that don't have leaps or a way to get over these walls to make them stronger in order to balance out the fact that they now have way less mobility on the map than they did prior. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, there's no god changes, item changes in this patch. We don't know what's happening to Blink. Who knows? Maybe they do something with Blink that makes it more accessible to like those characters. I don't know. We'll have to wing it and figure it out. But on the whole, interesting change. Will definitely have some positive and negative impacts, so we'll have to see how it works out in game. Obviously, characters without leaps are going to feel the hurt around the mid lane on that one. Even around the Gold Fury fights, like, ooh, you can get yourself in a scary situation. Scary situation. Something I'm pretty excited about, new XP camp near dual lane. So they're adding another camp, as you can see. The purple buff would normally be right up above this guy for that team and right down below for the other team. So basically right where you would walk into the dual lane, there's going to be an additional XP camp over here on the dual lane side. A new XP camp featuring a single Elder Harpy has been added to both the Order and Chaos side of the dual lane. This is to target the problem of the dual lane not being dual lane, to support never having to be there. The goal of this feature is to encourage players to stay together on that side of the map by giving them more XP/gold sources. These camps are positioned in the environment right next to the purple camp. They are tanky, hard-hitting monsters that are cleared most easily by a group of 2 players or more. I'm very excited about this. More things being over on that duo side means that there's more reason for the support to stick around. More reason for the support to stick around means more reason to have a more traditional duo lane. Really get into those 2v2s. For me, I really like that about MOBAs. I've always liked the duo lane. I like the teamwork right at level 1 that goes into winning the duo lane, out pressuring people, out pushing people, etc. So I like the idea of this new camp, making sure that there's that nice bonus XP for dual lane, and it helps dual lane keep up in the XP as well, compared to, the mid jungle who now have these new camps over by mid. There's going to be more XP over there. Won't that increase the snowball in duo? That is a good question. That will not. This would normally increase if they added this XP camp right now to Season 6 with no other changes, it would absolutely darn tootly snowball the game worse. Because what happens right now, right in dual lane, is you go to dual lane, you clear the wave, whoever clears first gets their purple buff invaded. In that case, they'd go back to lane, clear the wave, and then go invade your next buff, and then go back to lane and do their XP camps. That's what would happen. But they're making a crucial change to the dual lane next, which is the reason why that's not going to happen, which is a great change, which is they're changing the spawn time of purple buff. So it's going to spawn the same time as speed. Purple camp will now spawn at 20 seconds. So the dual lane will be starting at the purple buff, so they can do the purple buff first and then go to lane. So you'll never have your first purple basically stolen right off the bat like that. Now, this begs the question, once again, well, if the purple buff is starting first, why wouldn't the duo just invade the other duo? Great question. But if we really quickly rotate all the way back up, bada bing, bada boom, to Hand of the Gods secures your own buff, not the enemy buff, which means there's a good chance that the support is going to start with a consumable Hand of the Gods to secure your own purple buff, meaning even if you did get invaded, you will still get your own purple and get to go to lane at the cost of 100 gold. So, now that the purple buff spawns at the same time, this means that it stops that entire nonsense that we just talked about of losing wave clear at level 1, which means you lose purple, which means you lose their purple and yours, and which means you're down 2 levels. That is going to entirely fix that issue. Mid jungle start at their speed. Dual lane ADC support start at their purple. Everybody goes to lane. I'm very, very excited for this. I know some people will argue that this is dumbing down the start of the game. And to be honest with you, It is dumbing down the start of the game, and I think that's perfect. MOBAs are hard enough as they are. You're always going to have crazy strats and crazy builds and rotations and ideas. And the first minute of a Conquest game does not need to be stupidly inaccessible to the populace. It's great that at 15 minutes, there's a gold fury you can do in a portal or sneak a fire giant or split push or group up for a 3-man gank to steal their red buff. That's great. That's what MOBAs should be. MOBAs shouldn't be 45 seconds into the game you saying, I think I lost. That should never, ever happen. You should at least be able to start the game and be able to say, okay, now at 4 minutes, I made a bad rotation. Oh, I should have gone here. I should have bought a ward. That's a good feeling of learning, of proving. It's not a good feeling to be level 1, lose your speed buff, and then your red buff and be like, well, they're level 2.5. I haven't gotten any XP and I'm out of all my potions and I guess I lose the game. That's not fun for pro players at the highest level in ranked to the newest of Conquest players. Nobody that is fun for. Moving onward. Health pots will no longer stack with health chalice. This is great. This change probably should have been made forever ago. What an easy change to help solo lane. You will no longer be able to stack the health chalice with health pots to have both of them ticking at the same time to make you extraordinarily tanky for no reason whatsoever. That is targeted at making the solo lane a little bit less ridiculously no accessibility to killing each other. Trying to bring a little bit more skill back to the solo lane, a little bit more 1v1 potential. But if you have a 250 health potion chalice on you and a 250 health potion health pot, which supports have also done quite a bit this season, that's 500 health over 25 seconds. That's a lot of freaking regen, especially if you have any sort of regen on top of that. Lord forbid you're like a Xing 10 with your HP 5. That's just too much. So it looks like you'll still be able to stack like your health pots and your multi-pots for the 375, but not health and chalice for the 500. Which is a good start into making everybody just a little bit less tanky at level 1. Then at the end here, they give you just like a little bag of goodies of other changes that are coming to Smite. The effects that all 4 jungle buffs have on players will be slightly adjusted. We don't know what those changes are going to be yet, but they will be looking at all of the buffs in the game and changing how they work a little bit. Jungle camps are getting 10 to 20% increase in health and protections. So the jungle camps as a whole will all be harder to kill, meaning that things like Assassin's Blessing are going to be that much more important for clearing the camps. It also means that support and ADC will have to work together a little bit more in order to get those camps going, right? Put them back together. XP splitting change from 20 to 25%. So you will get more XP for splitting with a teammate. So that's going to be good. So splitting camps with people is going to be more important. You'll get more value out of splitting camps with one other person than you do right now. Meaning that soloing things will be slightly more taboo because if you wait for somebody else, you'll get more XP on the whole. Totem of Ku, the totem over by the solo lane, is having its reward slightly adjusted. They'll be changing the blessings. They'll be changing gold and XP and a bunch of other stuff. That is kind of information that we won't get until they either release another one of these at a later date or maybe not even until the Season 7 patch on January 8th. But that is all the information, guys, that we have right now on Season 7. Really, on the whole, I think all of these are objectively good changes for Smite, with the notable exception of this mid-Harpy situation. I don't think it's inherently a bad change, but I definitely think it has the highest chance of being problematic. All these other changes, the lower respawn for the yellow and the purple and the potion hog, all great changes. I think immediately you can just see right off the bat how it's going to fix problems with Season 6 that are currently in the game. This one right here, I don't think I can inherently see how it just fixes something or makes something better. It definitely makes the mid lane different, and I'm always a fan of different. Different doesn't always mean better, but for somebody that plays the game like 50 hours a week, different does mean different. So it's at least nice for the sake of variety. But we will see how that change goes, but it definitely could have some unintended consequences of like limiting the mid god pool by like, can't play Zeus anymore, sorry, you better have a jump. Or maybe it doesn't end up being that big of a deal and ends up being okay. Really hard to tell without physically getting into like a PTS and playing. And obviously we won't have a PTS for Smite until after the patch notes on January 8th at some point. But that, guys, is the end of our little Season 7 review. As all of these come out, if they have important information in them, I'll be reviewing all of these. I think they're starting to release a lot of these dev insights up until the patch notes, so I'm hoping to review most of them before they come out. Also, just to state, guys, I will not be here for Season 7 patch notes. I apologize. I will be on vacation with my family, so I will not be here to review those. So when I get back from vacation that week, hopefully I'll be able to review the patch notes with you guys, hopefully play some PTS, get some theory crafting going, stuff like that. But I won't be here on the actual day. I will be gone, in fact, that entire week.